Welcome back. Okay, just to continue on what I was saying about the spirituality in and physicality, spirituality slash physicality of my paradise world or heaven on earth is it's like I was saying, there's going to be sort of surprising in my view, because and I say that with kind of tongue in cheek because I'm saying that as if I know what's coming and then it wouldn't be a surprise, right? So I'm saying there's a lot of things that everybody will find surprising about their paradise, because a lot of times, we will say, oh, this is what we want and that's what we want. Um, and we'll be, very forceful about it, sometimes insistent and saying, this is what I want, but we haven't really dived very deeply into what that all entails, what comes with it. So we're, um, and that's also part of what this exercise is about too, is to dive more deeply into, okay, well, if this is what I really want, this is what I see as my paradise world, um, and I'm making some bold um, statements on what I want, then I have to be and I value honesty and all of that. Um, then I have to be honest about what comes along with it. So um, for the most part, my vision of paradise, and I have thought about a fair bit about it in the past. So um, when I'm telling you all these things that I feel are vital for it to um, even be possible to have to be in paradise, I'm saying that if we grasp or um, embrace some key principles and ways of being, levels of being, that it will take care of a whole bunch of other issues, and or it's like a preventative thing. It'll prevent a whole bunch of problems from occurring. And I'm not saying I've got it completely figured out where I could prevent every issue, but um, it's a process. So, excuse me. So, um, just bear with me. And like I said, if there's things that you don't agree with in my version of paradise, then I'm inviting you to dive into your own sort of rabbit hole, paradise rabbit hole, and see where that takes you. Like, um, entertain ideas, explore them without, just having a surface level reaction to it. I mean, that's that's one thing to take note of, right? Is our first impressions of things. And yes, first impressions are often accurate, but they often are misleading too. We see people that we immediately think, oh no, I don't like this person. But then once given the chance to get to know them a bit better, you can often see how, oh, actually I'm quite fond of this person now. So anyways, you got to go deeper, right? And just discover for yourself your truth. And sometimes you'll change your mind and other times you won't. But in the process, you're going to find out more about yourself and who you really are. And that's the bottom line. That's what really matters. So, um, once again, to get back to what I was saying about physicality in the higher dimensions. So, spirit blended with matter, with the physical. So, Ismail Perez was also saying how once you go up into higher dimensions, yes, you still have a physical body and a physical world experience, but it becomes less dense, essentially. Your body will be less dense, more permanent, but so when I say less dense, it there's a lighter quality to it. It's not so heavy. It's not so, and that also is related to our consciousness, right? Because often when we say we're feeling heavy, a heaviness to us, we're really sunken into the physical, like in the third dimensional matrix. And then our spirit will raise us back out of that by raising our consciousness back up in a variety of ways. So what he's saying is that our consciousness is stable in a dimension where everything is lighter. So no, there won't be fear in this paradise that I envision. There won't be hatred, these more dense, any of these more dense emotions. There won't be jealousy. There won't be conflict as we have seen it. You know, probably the greatest conflict people will have, say, let's, for starters, inside themselves, internal conflict that they'll have on a regular basis is like, oh, should I do this or should I do that bit of fun first? You know, like which kind of fun should I have today, or first of all today, and then do something else fun? Like that'll be the biggest conflict they'll have, is like deciding which fun to do first. But you can just go back to the old rule of follow your bliss. So whatever is the most blissful in this moment at this time, then that's what, how you decide what you do. So I mean, that could be a quick conflict, but you can easily resolve it that way. And then what, that's going to change, you know, the next day something else is your highest joy or bliss. So anyways, there won't be any conflict within people, any significant conflict like as we've seen it, and there won't be conflict on the external. So I still think there'll be like sort of lighter playful kind of rivalry between people, but it won't really be taken seriously, or it'll be in a, you know, like I say, a tongue-in-cheek joking kind of way, always a lighthearted way. There'll be a lighthearted competition, if you even want to call that competition, because people will see through it. So they'll see how competing with other people ultimately leads to a lower, and again, I'm not trying to put a judgment when I say lower, but just a lower vibrational, lower consciousness reality, where that competing with others is kind of like living a lie. Like it's saying, oh, well, I'm something separate from others. And so, and it's going more into those, that root survival instinct, you know, fight or flight reflex, where, and it's an ego driven thing too, where it's like, well, my ego always feels a little bit of an inferiority complex that, oh, I'm not as good as somebody else, so therefore I got to fight for what and compete for what I want. I got to compete for resources. Well, you know what? You're living in a dimension, a world where there's unlimited resources, where abundance is infinite. There's lack is not even a faint memory anymore. It might be a faint memory for some, but it's not even thought of anymore. Then what is there to compete for? So I can very much see why Alan Watts, pushed this idea of what is your paradise, your own personal paradise, because it gives you a lot of insights into, okay, what kind of a world you're actually living in right now and why you're living in that kind of world right now. And then once you know why you're living in the world that you're living in right now, this reality, what's real to you, then you can, if you so desire, you can change it. You can move into a preferred reality. So when in my vision of paradise, so when you're in this paradise world, what you would consider paradise, it doesn't mean that you stop wondering and dreaming and, like I said, evolving as a being. You continue to evolve with your tastes and interests, desires, whatever, but it's going to change in that you're not driven by, okay, well, we have all these, problems and whatever, war or hatred or fear or whatever. So all that stuff is done. It doesn't exist anymore. But now you're in a paradise where you have, okay, for, let's say, a time, even though experience of time will be different and everything, but what will sort of drive you, motivate you to experience something different won't be to get out of war or all these immediate sort of like issues that need to be dealt with. Okay? Health problems, physical health problems, that won't exist anymore. So, because it's kind of like, well, if I'm going to move into paradise, that's our first priority. It's like, okay, first we got to take care of our health, like, that we're not getting sick, and then and so we start feeling better. Once you feel better, then you can start focusing on, okay, how do we get rid of war and all this sort of thing. So when you're, say, in the fifth dimension, or I should say, when I'm in my paradise, I will start then maybe dreaming of, okay, I've been experiencing this paradise for a while, and now I have a new dream to experience another level of paradise, and a lot of that, like, I haven't even dreamt yet. I know there'll be new dreams coming, and desires and whatnot that I can't even imagine yet. But we have to have our fill of these other dreams, ideas of paradise first. And then once we've had our fill of that, then these other levels, let's say, will start to come into our sight, let's say our vision, or this third eye right here, our spiritual vision. So By the way, that's another part of my paradise, is that everybody will have their third eye active all the time, their spiritual vision, excuse me, that allows them to see into other realities, into other dimensions that perhaps they're not currently. Excuse me, I'll grab some water here so I'm not constantly bugging you by clearing my throat. But they will, everyone will be quite aware of these other dimensions through their healthy use of their pineal gland or third eye vision. So these kind of spiritual faculties will be utilized commonplace. It won't be seen as unusual or weird or even supernatural anymore. It'll just be natural. And again, if I haven't said it already, my paradise will be a very organic, natural world. If there's any AI at all, it'll be a completely benevolent type of AI that's there to assist as like a very, almost like a warm friend of humanity, but or brother, but it's all programming, right? So it doesn't really have that same well, actually, I shouldn't even say that. We could get into discussions, and I've had some very interesting discussions with my beloved on, what would a benevolent AI ultimately be? Would it ever, would there be some kind of consciousness there or soul involved at a certain stage? I don't know. I'm sure there'll be those that'll say no, that it could never have that. But if it's only being used and manifesting in a benevolent, positive way, then, and that's the kind of energy that is active, then does that draw in soul or source at a certain point? I don't know. But that's a good question. Something to explore. But anyways, the paradise that I'm envisioning is very much about having fun with spirituality, being spiritual, but then also being very real and down to earth at the same time, for lack of a better term. Limiting illusion, if we're going to limit, it's not going to be a lot of limitations in my paradise, but if we're going to limit anything, we're going to limit our illusions, our delusion, our we're going to be limiting deception, all that kind of thing. Well, I shouldn't even say it that way, because there's not going to be deception, but you know what I'm getting at. Less masks involved. Will be unmasked. So there's going to be a lot of joking around and humor, a great deal of humor, because I feel that's what makes us, a big part of anyways, what makes us who we are and the beauty of our souls when we're joking and laughing and being playful and kidding around and all that kind of thing. And it'll never be at the expense of somebody else. It'll always be laughing with everyone involved, never laughing at people, in any kind of a mean-spirited way, because that's separation. Can you laugh at yourself? Yes. Do you ever really laugh at yourself? Like, oh, you're laughing at yourself because you think of yourself as a real fool or whatever. I mean, some people do, but they say that, but maybe that's something they need to work, or I shouldn't even say maybe, that is something they need to work on, is if they ever have those kind of negative thoughts about themselves, then why do they, first of all, and then work out how to stop that, to no longer have those negative words and energies with their self-talk, their image, their self-image. So anyways, that's the same sort of thing as what I'm talking about. That won't happen within people. They won't be thinking of themselves as something negative or foolish or evil or whatever. They'll always be thinking the best of themselves, not in a ego-inflated, selfish way, but they'll, kind of like a parent thinks of their child, that more like an unconditional love for themselves. They'll think of themselves in that way, that whatever they do, they'll just think it's kind of cute, or even the things that are not the most becoming, they won't have a problem with, because they have that unconditional parental love for themselves. And that's also, I feel, part of, when people talk about healing the inner child, that's a big part of it, is that you treat yourself, it's like you're parenting yourself. Like, you treat that child within yourself from the place of the unconditionally loving parent, but in a more complete sense, like a loving, a more consistent sense. So anyways, that'll all be taken care of. Everybody will be doing that all the time, coming from that unconditional love for themselves. And then, of course, they will always be treating everybody, because that's how it works. That's part of the as above, so below, as within, so without, which I believe very much in. So that's part of having your house in order, and then the house will be in order all around you. So anyway, I feel that it's, that's part of the issue that often happens in a lot of spiritual communities. They get very, very serious about things. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be sincere. Yes, we should be sincere and authentic, but we can get really caught up in, being so serious about everything, and then we lose that humor that's so important and vital in making life joyful and relaxing, more pleasant. We all know those people that are just like cracking jokes and joking around all the time, and they are just a joy to be around. We enjoy them, and often that's how somebody makes a friend right away, is because somebody makes a joke, and then things are lighter, and laughter creates space. So that's another part of my paradise, is that there's always going to be space. No one's ever going to feel cluttered and like they can't move around, and I mean that both physically and metaphorically, emotionally, mentally, whatever. They're always going to be free. Like, there's always going to be room to explore and have adventure. And that takes me into another part of my perfect realm, is or close to perfect realm. Paradise is, every day will be an adventure, all kinds of adventures. There'll be a lot of jubilance. It'll be an ongoing jubilee. If you believe in contemplating and meditating on words and the energy behind words and their true meaning, then that would be one word I would highly recommend you contemplate, focus on, is the word jubilant, or jubilee, let's say. The word jubilee and the energy behind it, what that feels like. For me, there is bliss there, definitely an element of bliss. So that'll be a constant in my paradise. So that might bring to mind, images of like parties every day. Why not? If we could design our perfect world, wouldn't we kind of want that? I mean, maybe not like a certain kind of party happening, but at least the spirit of, maybe kind of like certain elements of a party, like you would think of as a party happening every day or every other day or whatever. But it's more like what I'm getting at is the energy, the spirit of it will be like that every day. One big party every day. Why not? And then people will tell me, oh, how are we going to get any work done? Well, there's an easy answer to that, is that it's called instant manifestation. So if we can just manifest things by our will, our thoughts, then there's not going to be any kind of traditional jobs to go to. I mean, your job every day will be, how much fun can you have? Will be play. Your job is play. Just play. Play and find out what happens, where that takes you. And that's, where I think the best creative geniuses thrive, is when they're just allowed to do that. They're given the space to do that. So we'll always be giving each other space to be ourselves, and then but also interact and enjoy each other to the fullest. Respect each other, but not respect each other because we have to, or because it's being demanded or imposed in some way. We'll respect each other because we know the truth, that we're all expressions of the one, that there's really only one thing here, one God that truly matters, that's primary. And so when we're very aware of that, again, that takes care of a whole host of other things like respecting and honoring each other. And then we can truly enjoy each other. We're not fighting or arguing anymore. We're just allowing others to have their opinions. And there's still going to be closer friends, and then people that we don't want to associate with on a daily basis. But they'll always have other people that they can associate with as friends, close friends every day. So we'll have our groups, our tribes, so to speak, but then we'll realize that our tribe can only exist because there is this greater tribe holding the whole thing together. Just like we can have our planet and our solar system, our galaxy, universe, or whatever, only because there are all these other planets and solar systems and galaxies holding the whole thing together like clockwork, spinning around each other, making it all possible. Thanks for listening, and we'll continue on our discussion of paradise in the following videos. Thank you. Much love to you.